favorite TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Morning Digest. This is Monday Morning Digest, and very exciting to have you tuned in this morning. Karibuni sana. This is going to be exciting. This is a great day. It is the 22nd day of November 2021. We are just a couple of days to end the year, less than actually 60 days. I think something like less than 40 days to the end of the year, and then we begin the famous 2022. Remember, the Morning Digest, Monday Morning Digest, we focus on matters politics, economics, social dynamics, and, a variety of issues. This morning, I'm pleased to host a very interesting guest, my friend Stephen Owoko, who is gunning for the President of the Republic of Kenya. I'm telling you. Karibu to the show, my brother.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Gigi.
All right.
Asante.
Yes. Yeah, it's good to see you, looking bright and energetic. Right, so I hope you had a nice weekend.
Yeah, I had a nice weekend. And then it showered in the morning. We thank God because rains are a sign of blessings.
Yes, the rains are a sign of blessing. That's the way we here in this part of the world, Africa, when we see the rains, we know things are getting better. Okay, very nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are live on the various social media platforms, so please remember to share yes, exactly. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube, I believe. So please share the links and let's get the conversation going. Let me just make sure I share so that as many people can get this conversation going. Kindly share as well and tell your friends, and let's get this conversation going today. Wow, amazing. So, very good. We're also live on YouTube, as usual. We are live on YouTube, Elevate TV Kenya, on our YouTube page. So, excellent. So, let's begin the conversation, my brother. You want to become the President of the Great Republic of Kenya.
Sure.
Very good. So that's a very serious calling. And
yes.
So let's first of all begin by talking about your background, where you're coming from. You have a long history. You've done pastoral work. You've been a missionary. You have traveled around Africa. So maybe you can fill us up. Let's start from there, and then before we come to the politics.
Yeah, I was born in Siaya. And
the famous Siaya.
Yes. Then I left this country in 1969. My formation years and my educational background was in Uganda.
Right.
And then that's where I became born again.
Right.
And that's when the Lord called me. So 1984, I'd done my high school. The Lord called me to the mission field.
Yes.
And I was called to go to the Africa. That's the burden I felt to go to the African nations. So 1984, I went and I started the ministry in Tanzania as an evangelist missionary.
Okay.
Working with the Alliance of Christian Development Organization of Tanzania.
Okay.
I was in charge of the evangelism department, but also in charge of the whole of East and Central Africa. That is Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, Zambia, and Tanzania, and Kenya as well. And then I got married at 89, then I came back home.
All right.
I married Tanzania, came back home.
You married a Tanzanian or
yes,
something?
Yes.
All right, okay. So you have a lot of things to answer when you become the president. So we'll be asking you how your relationship are going to be, whether you're going to make sure that the relationship between Kenya and Tanzania is warm enough.
Of course, more than that.
Now, yeah, because you have in-laws there.
Yeah, then when I came back home, because I didn't want to start a family outside the country.
Okay.
So I came back in 1989, we got our first child. And then after a few years back, 95, I went back to the mission field.
Okay.
I was stationed in Kinshasa,
Okay.
but in charge of Western Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, that is Benin, Togo, Nigeria, Ghana, and those countries.
Okay.
For 1 year. Then 96 war broke out when the rebels started now trying to get rid of Mobutu. Okay. Then I left and came back home.
Okay.
And then when I came back home, immediately I went to South Africa.
Okay.
And I was based in South Africa in charge of southern part of Africa.
Yeah.
That is 96 to 98.
Okay.
Then I felt it was time to come back home because I'd stayed so long outside the country.
All right.
That's right.
But, you know, I like your story about the DRC, your experience in DRC. You know, one of my observation, or rather something that has been coming up, and recently a friend of mine, not just a friend, my own brother, they did a mission with his friends in DRC, I think early this year. And when they came back, we were just talking about the situation in Congo, how the country is shaping up, you know. So, and we know Congo has gone through a very long history, struggle to find its footing as a proper nation. And issues of corruption, there's still rampant corruption, you know, even in the private and public sector, that sort of thing. And how was it in 96 when these guys were trying to throw out Mobutu? How was Congo? I mean, what do you recall?
Congo has never been stable all along from the time of independence when they killed Patrick Lumumba.
Right.
And it has never been, it was ruled by military, and there have been rebellion from one corner to another. We have the Bamulele from Eastern Congo, the people from Moba, Katanga. So Congo has always been chaotic. And the problem now, the leader that was imposed there was to serve the Western interest.
Okay.
He never cared about anybody else, about the country. He plundered the country for his own good, and was being protected by the Western. And that's why people like us, we were there, because now we were providing spiritual nourishment. Congo is a sad story. The richest country in the world, yet the poorest country in the world.
All right.
In terms of genocide, it is estimated within a very short time, they have killed about 6 million people. So Congo is a sad story. But not only Congo, it's a story of other parts of Africa, like Central Africa. Even South Africa is going the same. Somali the same, and even this country of Kenya, the direction we are headed, if there are no mitigation measures, we might still reach there because the center might not hold. It begins with carelessness.
Okay, so and those are issues that I'm very, very passionate about. And I like, what I find in political conversation is sweeping statements. So Congo is a broken state. But what exactly is broken? Because I think the tenets of a functioning nation is a rule of law. So you need to have a functioning legal system. And you know, if you take someone to court, that process is going to be, you know, reasonably predictable. You know, so if the person is convicted, they are actually going to be put in. Or if it is a tussle of a property and a ruling is obtained in favor of one party, that party will actually benefit from that particular property or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you think that Congo has a functioning, for example, judiciary, security? Of course, you know, every country, the people who run the state, the head of state, and that mechanism has monopoly on violence. They have the military, the police, and all that. Do you think that actually functions? Does it serve the interest of the people? So I'm looking at the legal system. I'm looking at the security, the whole idea of the military and police, you know, being functional, executing protection, law and order, you know, that kind of thing. And then you can talk about economics and the dynamics around there, and that the economics bit must be connected to the legal bit. So in other words, law protects, say, private property, private business, registrations. You can open your business here, you can run it there, you know, the freedoms that are enshrined in the legal system, and then both the economic system to function. What is your view of, so for example, Congo?
Now, we have 5 pillars that hold a nation. All the nations are the same.
Okay.
The pillars are each nation is like a multi-story building.
Okay.
And there are pillars. There are 5 pillars. One is political pillar, economical pillar, social pillar, legal pillar, environmental pillar, and the technological pillar. So
All right.
all these are the pillars that hold the nation together. It doesn't matter whether small or big.
Yeah.
But the drivers of this is the politics.
Okay.
Now, all these pillars were weakened and were destroyed from the onset of the independence. And what happened is that the colonizers of the Congo, especially the French, the Francophones, they never prepared the citizen of those countries psychologically and empowered them and embedded in them discipline and patriotism to take charge of their country. So this is the problem we are having in especially those countries of the Francophones.
Yes.
That is Chad, Central African Republic, Mali. So these pillars, one, they are weakened. It is the leadership, the political leadership, that must make sure that these pillars are strengthened. Once the political leadership does not have the patriotism and nationalism, then everything falls apart.
Okay.
So Congo, as a problem, and it may take them so many years, because the problem they're having is the mental attitude.
Okay, okay, so we can talk about that, and that is a story. I mean, the reason why I wanted us to explore a little bit about the story of Congo, because that also comes into play. You talk about Tanzania, for example. You talk about you had experience in South Africa as well, and all that. What's the role? I really want to ask, what do you believe is the role of a legal function, a proper constitutional, a functioning constitutional system? Because you see, in this country, we are talking politics. You're vying for the president of the republic. So as far as I can tell, the one central anchoring point on which a nation is founded, if it is a nation, if it's not a dictatorship. You see, when military take over, they normally, first of all, the first thing they remove, they suspend the constitution.
That's right.
Because the constitution is really what you use if you're not using military. You understand?
Yes.
So, what do you think is the role of constitution? There is politics and there is constitution. Politicians, when a country is being formulated at the beginning, if it's going to function as a state, as a democratic or whatever, nation, a proper nation, bringing together various tribes, then there has to be something that holds the center, and perhaps that's a constitution. What do you think is the function of a constitution in a nation?
Now, this is what happens. You may have a very good constitution. You may have a very good laws in place.
Yes.
But when the leadership does not have the vision for the country and the knowledge and the ability to make those systems work, everything will fall into a place. It's like having a very nice car, well maintained, and you are giving it to a careless driver. It doesn't matter. He will just drop it in the ditch. So this is the problem. You may have those laws in place, and each country has the laws, but they're normally broken. And what happens, like in Uganda or Switzerland, they say that what makes a nation grand is not her wealth nor her size, but on her people and the spirit of those people, which is imparted by the leadership. So it is the political DNA of a leader that imparts on the people. And then people start being adhering to the rule of law and the fear of God, like the former CJ Maraga said. So the laws are there. The constitutions are there. But the leadership has planted that seed of corruption, of disobedience to the law, of plunder. And so that's what is happening.
So, okay, so let's return to the metaphor, the car metaphor, because that's a very interesting one. So, so you have a car and you have a driver.
Yes.
Now, the two must work. If you want a car to serve you, then you learn how to drive the car.
That's right.
So, what you are saying is we have the driver, the politician, but then we have a car.
Yes.
So, but you see, you can have a very nice driver, he has a good heart, he has a good soul, but the car is not functional. You understand? So both need each other. So we need the law, we need the systems to be actually functioning. And one of the things I think, and I think this is what I feel is missing in our politics, even in our country politics. What is missing is we are so fixated about the soul of the politician, the ethics of the politicians, what the politician think, and where he's taking us, and all that, and I can understand that. There is the tone from the top. So you need people who have a good heart, people who mean well for this nation. You need those kind of people. But is the car functioning? We can talk so much about the driver.
Now, let me give this narrative. When you are flying,
yes,
what do you take your ticket? You are seated there. The pilot should know how to take off,
yes,
and take the direction where you are going.
Yes.
Now, he's carrying the hopes and aspirations of the passengers.
Yes.
Once you land to your destination, maybe somebody going for the honeymoon, for business, for hospital, but it is the responsibility of the captain to make sure,
yes,
that he takes off, navigates through the air, and lands you safely.
Right.
Now, as much as the country may be rich and the people are willing, when you have a leader who doesn't know what and where to take people,
yes,
the country will collapse.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we are going to use the two metaphors: the plane, the pilot metaphor, and the car driver metaphor. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe you're following this conversation. I see a lot of people that are tuned in right now. Can you please, give us your comments? Let's ask our guest questions. This gentleman, Stephen Owoko, is gunning for the President of the Republic of Kenya as an independent candidate. I'm going to be asking him to explain to us, how he's working out his political agenda as we go on with this conversation. But we're beginning just from the foundations, the fundamentals, what makes a nation function, what makes a country function. What do you think is broken in this country? Is it the driver that is maybe drunk, or is it that we have drivers that they don't have their head together, they don't have a vision, they don't know where they are taking the car, or is it the car that is broken? So, and we need to be able to have that kind of engagement. So, I'm looking at the YouTube, side of it here, the Facebook here. Please send us your comments and let's engage on this particular conversation. So, Stephen.
Yes.
So you served in DRC.
Yes.
So you saw a dysfunctional state.
Oh my, it was terrible.
And for whatever reason, a nation without a soul, without a direction, ruled by one dictator after the other. The guys in the West, they really, have very amazing view of Africa. They actually think all presidents in Africa are dictators. So even if today you became a president of Kenya and you arrived in a conference in any of the Western countries, they will be thinking another African dictator. So what is this dictator thing? So why do we label? We label Jomo Kenyatta a dictator. Some of the social justice guys label Moi the worst dictator Kenya had. I don't understand. Can you please tell me, from where you sit, what exactly is a dictator? Because
the Western way of thinking,
yes,
think that's so superior, and they have the monopoly of ideas. So they think that any system, they think that they have the right to police, to supervise any other country, especially in Africa.
Right.
And so they want to impose their way of thinking and the way they do things in the African context without taking in consideration our cultures, our background, our beliefs, our diversity.
Yes.
And so long as you don't do the way they think, the way they do their thing, then you are a dictator.
Okay.
Yes.
But our own people, you read a local newspaper, some of the big thinkers, some of the, like for example, and I can name names here, people like Professor Makau Mutua, he actually when Uhuru and Kenyatta were elected in 2013, he refused to recognize them as president and elected president and deputy president of this country. He used to call them, and even today he still calls them Mr. Kenyatta and Mr. Ruto. I mean, he refused to accept that they had actually genuinely ascended to the president of this republic. This is a major thinker. He's actually a professor of law in Buffalo, in the U.S. I mean, and these are the people who are writing opinion pieces in our papers every day. So they are the people that are shaping the thinking of this country. So they actually think we have never had serious democracy. So I can tell you, Stephen Owoko, if you become a country of this the president of this republic, you're gonna be in trouble. How are you going to deal with the label of another African who wants to be a dictator?
Now, I think the most important thing is, as a leader, what you have for your country.
Yes.
Where the country is, and where the country comes from, and where you want to take the country. That's the most important thing.
Yes.
The vision, unfortunately, our leaders have a vision for 5 years or more, or less.
Yes.
But as a leader, so long as this is where we want to go, it doesn't matter whether you take them through the Red Sea, if you are sure you are going to bypass,
yes.
whether you take them through the wilderness. But at the end of the day, you want to reach to a place where they'll enjoy the plenty. So that is the vision that you need.
Yes.
You see, people like Gaddafi had a vision, what we call original thinker. People like Seretse Khame of Botswana, they laid a very firm foundation that was outside the fringe, or what is known as the norm. And from that time, their country was different. Botswana is one of the countries that managed its budget 100%. By the time Gaddafi was being eliminated, he had 200 billion cash, and the country had no external debt.
Right.
And because he did things in a different way.
Right.
So what happens is, if you know this is what you want for your country and for the future, it doesn't matter the noises. People have different opinions, and millions of them. So you cannot decide now that you want to do, or you want to behave, or you want to be shaped by people's opinion, if those opinions are not for the good of the nation.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So as far as you're concerned, you know, whether they call you a dictator or whether they call you all kinds of things, you're not going to care what labels the, you know, Western observers give you about your, you know, whatever presidency or leadership. So, okay, fine. Let me ask you a question. You have a Christian background. You served as a pastor, you know, and only retired in 2017.
Yes.
How has pastoral ministry, you know, influenced your political thinking? Of course, pastoral ministry means, of course, you have a biblical background. You know, you've studied, did you study theology, by the way?
Yeah,
and
biblical studies, yeah.
You can tell us a little bit about your theological studies and background and all that. How much did you study? How did that influence your pastoral ministry? And maybe how is that shaping your political agenda?
Yeah, I started bit by bit. I did a certificate and diploma in theology, then a degree in biblical study. I've already finished my master's now because of COVID, because I've not graduated. So, but when I was starting, it was a calling. Those years in the 70s and 80s, it was a calling.
I like the biblical studies bachelor's. So which institutions have you been studying with?
Oh, the one I did was a branch of USA. So it was in Eldoret, called Faith International Pastors Training College. Okay. This was a campus of the US. That's where I did my bachelor's. Okay. And that's where I'm also doing my master's.
So you did, you know, let me push. Let's talk about that a little bit. Don't worry. We will talk about politics. Yes. Because you see, there is always what we call the backstory.
Yes, yes.
Backstory. President Owoko, who has a bachelor's in theology, and I guess that's what you would need to use to qualify for admission by IABC, isn't it?
That's right.
IABC requires that you have a bachelor's.
A bachelor's.
So you have your certificate.
I have my certificate.
Is it? Are there going to be any problems with maybe the institution is not locally certified and stuff like that?
No.
Have you already checked that out?
I've checked that, yes.
Okay. So IBC will not have any problem with that?
No, unless they have their own problem.
Unless they have their own problem. And we're going to be here maybe to stand with you know, the candidate, Stephen. Yes. Okay, very good. So, bachelor's. So, with a bachelor's in biblical studies, that I think prepares you very seriously to serve this nation. So yeah, would be very happy to have a president who has a bachelor's in theology.
Now, what happens? People may not understand. When you study the Bible to that level, it's about history, philosophy, prudential financial management, book of Numbers. It's about leadership.
Yes.
It's about management. It is all it's about science, environment. So somebody who have done biblical studies actually is well suited to understand all this, as opposed to somebody who have done animal husbandry becoming a president. But you see, when you study it, you're about the creation, the wealth of the nations, the land, the social, how supposed people to behave and to act. It opens your eyes of your understanding to know how the world government and the world should operate, how kings and princes should behave, marriages, young people. So it's all inclusive.
Okay.
Very much inclusive.
All right.
But one of the reasons why I want to run, because I was brought up in Uganda during Amin's time and during the war. So I saw that country. I said I went there in 1969. Uganda was the leading economy in East Africa. The systems were working. Within a short time, things turned upside down.
Okay, I'm going to hold you there because we're going to go into a short break. I want us to come back to the story, your story of Uganda. And the reason why we are kind of like backgrounding on these issues, so that then we can, so that our viewers can position, can kind of have a feel of Stephen Owoko. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break, and I believe you're following this conversation. When we come back, we're going to ask Stephen to explore and explain to us, his background, and he has a lot of wealth of experience and what he has for us, so we'll come back to that. So a short break, and then we come back.
How does the interview process go?
Make sure there is communication.
Yes.
Communication is you have called the person and they have confirmed that yes, we are able to come.
As a panel, you need to agree that this is what we are looking.
Yes.
Are those things right? But beyond that, what is the unsaid, the unwritten that you want to pick?
How do I prepare so that I come and the panel is like, wow, this is the best person?
Because how you will respond now, we assume is how you will respond to candidates.
Don't lie. If you don't know something that is asked, just say you don't know. Don't go around the bush trying to get an answer, which is wrong.
The Kenya Council of Church Alliances and Ministries invites you to the National Prayer Day at the Kasarani Gymnasium on Friday 26th November from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
There is a need for us to come together and stand in the gap for this nation.
Hii mkutano ni mkutano ambaye tunataka kuombea nchi ya Kenya.
Taifa nzima tunawaita pamoja tuombee taifa letu.
Join us. It is time to pray.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the conversation. We are talking about, we are discussing on this morning about presidential candidate, independent presidential candidate. I have my friend on the show here, Stephen Owoko. Stephen Owoko brings onto the table vast experience in Africa. He's worked in DRC, he's worked in Tanzania, he's worked in South Africa, he lived in Uganda, he's been, his experience in Nigeria. He has a very good view of how African economics and politics work, all the way from the 90s. And before we went to the break, he was talking about his quick experience in Uganda. And I find that very interesting. Before we answer one of the questions the young people are asking here who are following this conversation. So, What do you think of Uganda? So you said you lived in Uganda in the 90s. Tell us about that.
No, 69 to 85.
69 to 85 you lived in Uganda?
84, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to Tanzania.
Wow, wow, wow.
Uganda was the pearl of Africa.
Yes.
The pearl of Africa. From 71, January 25th, when Amin took over, by 72, when he expelled the Asians, 2 years, the country has gone down to the drain. Everything was a standstill.
Okay.
Standstill.
Right.
And Uganda has not recovered to date. Yes. Congo has not recovered. Somalia has not recovered. It takes just one man to bring the country down, unless you get a leader with wisdom to bring it up. Rwanda has recovered. So Uganda was a country and a half. So they brought it down.
So I have been reading a lot of stuff about, nations. I mean, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of stories that I've read and accounts in various, whether you're talking about economics, whether you talk about, political. It is said that when the Asians left Uganda, some of them came to Kenya, but most of them left for the UK because UK intervened, and told these guys, no, look, we'll have them. If you don't want them, we'll have them. So they took over they allowed the Asians in Uganda to go to UK. Now, the Asians, Uganda Asians who went to UK have prospered, absolutely prospered. So maybe there is this whole issue of the prosperity, the economic development is embedded in the people themselves, not necessarily the place where they are.
Amin had a good vision for Uganda, Ugandans.
Yes.
And the one who were expelled were the Asians with a British passport. The one who had Ugandan citizens were not expelled.
Yes.
But you see, we had a program even in Kenya about Africanization. You see?
Yes.
In South Africa, there was called the Black Empowerment.
Okay.
And so in Zimbabwe, Mugabe tried to give land. So it was the way he did it in a crude way.
Okay.
That's the way he did it in the wrong way. The economical empowerment that he had envisioned for the Ugandan did not work because their level of understanding and education and exposure by then was very low. But the whole concept, whatever he meant, was good.
Okay, so that then, let's fast forward to today. So given that, you're garnering for the President of the Republic, maybe that sounds like parallel to the same arguments that are right now are the most current argument, that let's empower the youth, okay? The current political conversation in this country is the reason why our country is not going forward is because we have not empowered the young people. And I have one of them asking, what plans does Owoko have to the jobless youth who have struggled to earn their academic qualification? So there are people coming off the universities, they have earned their degrees, and they are out here, they are looking for a job. I mean, they want employment, they want to contribute, all right? So, and there is this kind of thinking that I see, and I would like you to speak into it, that, the bad guys are the guys who are running the economy, the guys with the big money. Those are the bad guys. And the good guys are these young people who are coming off the university without jobs. Those are the people on whom we now must build the economy. What is your take on that?
My economical model is based on my model is based biblical economical model.
Okay.
But before I answer that,
yes,
let me put it this way. My competitors are using sound bites and slogans because that was the research has shown that is a crisis. The sound bite, but you read the paper, the sister Daily Nation said, Uhuru, Ruto na Raila wauzia vijana asali chungu. That's the experts. And then the other day, the headline was saying, waada vijana, they're cheating the young people. Now, in my program, I have a program of employing 8 million people per year, actually within 9 months. 8 million jobless people within 1 year. Then the second year, employ the rest. After the third year, we give green card for people to come and do these manual jobs. So that's my program. If you give me time, I'll explain and prove how it's going to work.
Okay.
So what the Bible is very clear. Don't let a witch live. Giving young people 10,000 wheelbarrows is like bewitching them. Yeah, these people should not be left to get along with this. Getting young people to be draining sewages and picking dirt, that is not a job that a citizen should do. That should be done by this other African from their country, because in Arab world they don't do those things.
Okay, hold it there. You've raised very many issues that I would like to push you back on. In fact, that is enough for us to have this conversation go very far, okay? 8 million jobs
per year.
Per year.
Yes. Meaningful jobs.
Uhuru Ruto promised 500, was it 500 or 600 jobs per year? So you're going to multiply that by 10.
I don't want to speak for them.
Okay. No. So
because those were just campaign slogans.
So before you also be accused of sloganeria,
yes,
how practical would you create 8 million jobs?
Economics is about specifics. It's about numbers. It's about figures.
That's what
Let me start.
Yes. Okay. Go on.
I will use 520 billion to create the number of jobs I've said, and within a very short time go. Number one, once I take over, I will reduce the working man hours from 8 to 6, and then increase the opening hours of the government offices from 7 to 7. So the first shift will go from 7, by one they go, the other one come. So I'll have doubled the civil servant because we have 700,000 plus civil servants, and the money we have is enough. Let me explain. We have 850 billion for our wage bill. Out of 850, 350 is salaries. 500 billion is allowances. We have 246 allowances in this country. Sitting allowance, traveling allowance, dispatching allowances, optic allowance, dentist allowance, airtime allowance. That 240. So it means the money we use for wage bill is enough to double. That including the teachers, the drivers, the matatu. So immediately I'll absorb 700,000. But let me not talk about that. Let me talk about how I'm going to create. I'm using the economy called as the ant philosophy.
Okay, so
then I'll explain.
Let me just ask something.
Yes.
Are you saying that first of all, the civil service itself is established to deliver certain services?
Yes.
Are you saying that that services don't actually get delivered, all right? So that the problem is lack of numbers, lack of enough people sitting behind those desks to get the services delivered. Is that actually the problem?
What I'm saying, disparate times call for disparate measures. I'm doing this because one of the crises we have, unemployment, public debt, and post-economic stability. Those are my agenda that I want to deal with in the first year. So this is just measures to make sure, because the money is there. It's being wasted because most of the civil servants still behave as if they're expatriates.
Okay.
They're expatriates.
Right.
So that's the mentality. Yeah. We babysit them. We give them comforting. So this money that they are earning, they can still be earned by the same number of people, and I create employment for those who went to school.
Okay, so question is, why do you want to double the number of civil servants? And first of all, what will they be doing, the double number? Because you know, I have been to these offices, and most of those guys, even the ones who are there right now, it's not that they have queues.
They don't. Yeah.
It's not that they have lines queuing, and there is a crisis that have been queuing. Say a few service points have maybe a little bit of a queue. You could say maybe would be happy if the lands place things move faster, for example. But they are using now technology, and that's probably going to maybe even triple the speed. Okay. Where are the queues where we need those extra double number of services? Do we need, right now, for example, let's take education, for example. We have about 300,000 teachers.
Yes.
If we employed 600,000 teachers, what will they be doing?
You teach up to one, you go home, other one comes, teaches the same. So we will live on the same classes, we'll divide them, so they are not going to have congestion.
Which also means you're going to have to build extra
No,
classes?
no. The same classes will be used. You see, this is what we call emergency measures.
Okay.
The same office for the judicial.
Yes.
The judge will sit there, or the magistrate will sit there,
yes,
hear the criminal case, whatever. Then somebody comes to use the same office to hear. So we'll even dispense justice quickly, because now they're saying we don't have the infrastructure.
Right.
Now, what is happening is this: 700 civil servants are consuming slightly a half of what 50 million are contributing in taxes.
Okay.
Because we have 850 billion being consumed by 700,000 people.
Right.
So what I'm saying, that let's share it.
Okay.
Instead of saying we are going to reduce the salaries, for now let's share it, because we have a crisis of unemployment. So this is just something that we do for a year or 2 or 3, and then we stabilize and we move on.
Okay. I'll take it. You want to double the number of civil servants,
yes,
and so that in an effort to
on
absorb,
the same salary,
yes, on the same resources,
yes, which they are consuming,
in an effort to absorb all these young people.
Yes.
Throw them into the civil service offices, let them sit, and then I like the idea of a morning shift and an afternoon shift, and hopefully it will work. But of course, you still need one general manager, one.
Of course, the senior guys will still work 8 hours.
Yeah. So it's these guys, the lower cadre.
The lower cadre.
Okay, so something like that, and maybe yes, there is probably some scope for if you expanded the the space 7 to 7, but then you have morning shift, afternoon shift. Yes, you could absorb obviously a lot
be
of
more
people,
productive,
and you could make the civil service more productive. I agree. However, will that drive the economy forward? Will that generate the economic output that is needed? Because civil service is not, they don't produce, they don't make money, they only consume money.
Good. Business are grown by informal employment.
Exactly.
It is the formal employment that drives the economy.
Right.
So let's put it this way.
Yes.
If you are earning 1,000 and I don't earn anything, you will still buy your airtime for 100. If I were to earn another 1,000, we'll buy 200. So Safaricom will get 200 shillings per day from us. Right. So when you spread this among another 7, they're going to use this money. The money will circulate as opposed to one person using the same. So this is the concept. But this is not the 8 million I'm talking about. Right. Those one are not even my calculations.
Yes.
No, this is just mitigation measures.
Right.
Yes. But then I'll go to the specific. I'm going to produce 8 million jobs.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you are following this conversation. My guest here, Stephen Owoko, is an independent candidate, and his core agenda is create 8 million jobs in 1 year, per year. Absolutely amazing stuff. And he has the details all worked out. And so let's talk about independent candidates and what that means. What does it take? What is required to compete as an independent candidate? What are the 5, 1, 2, 3 things that you require? And are you ready for being on the ballot paper?
Before I go, let me explain about the independent candidates.
Yes.
We have 3 types of independent candidates.
Yes.
And 5 reasons why one becomes independent.
Right.
We have those independent candidates by circumstances.
Yes.
Those independent because they are independent.
Yes.
And independent candidates by accident.
Yes.
I'll explain.
Yes.
The first one is because political parties charge from 100,000 to 1 million for presidential 1 million, governor 500, and so on. So the charge is a bit higher.
Right.
And so some people feel they have been bitten by this political bug.
Yeah.
But now they don't have the ability, they don't have the finances.
Yes.
So the only way they would say, let me go to the people.
Yes.
And they sell themselves. Those are one, people who have no finances. Then the second one are those who fear to compete because primaries is so grueling.
Yes.
And in primaries, you have to manslaying the other because you want to be on top.
Right.
Then after that, now you made the other competitor. It's like semi-final where you are meeting the others who also beaten the other. So it's not easy, and that's where a lot of money is being spent.
Yeah.
Now, though people feel that now I don't have the energy to go fighting with all these guys, and they have a lot of money. Let me just go independent.
Right.
The third one are those who are not sure. They have the ability, they can compete, but they're not sure because whether they'll be giving the certificate.
Right.
Because normally in some of these parties, the ticket is given to the highest bidder or a friend of the party or a sponsor of the party.
Okay.
You cannot compete against the party leader's brother or wife or sister and expect to win fairly and be getting certificate. So those people fear.
Yes.
The last one are those whose elections were bungled and they were denied the certificate. So they come running now.
Yes.
That's like Kabogo. I'm the chairman of independent candidates.
Right.
Kabogo, Musila, Dr. Otuoma, Peter Kennethia, and the others.
All right.
Yeah. So those ones, they competed, but they did not get fair nomination. They won, but they were denied. So they decided to become candidates.
Okay.
Now, what it requires for any candidate, whether presidential or MC, is just 500 shillings.
All right.
To be given a certificate.
Okay.
And you must not have been a member, or you must not be a member of any registered political party.
Okay.
So it is as easy as that.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
So that's very nice. Excellent. Good news. So anyone out there who wants to become, to compete as the President of the Republic of Kenya, it will cost you only 500 shillings.
To get the certificate.
To get your certificate
And
from
they can
IEBC.
contact me, any other person who wants to run as independent, I'm the chair. They
Absolutely. And Stephen here will show you the way. He will hold your hands and he will guide you through the process. Quite straightforward. You can get your certificate like today. And you can start going around the country selling your
yourself.
Sera.
Sera.
This Swahili word.
Sera.
Sera.
Yeah, Sera.
I love that word.
Sera.
It should be accepted in the English dictionary because it's a very interesting, word that has been used over so long until I think everyone, knows that word. Okay, so. Independent candidates is quite straightforward. Anyone who really thinks they have an agenda for this country,
yes,
and they want to compete for the top position, even governor or the other.
Yeah, we have two governors who are independent, one senator, and 14 MPs in parliament, and hundreds of MCAs.
All right.
Yeah.
Who went in independent?
Yeah, like Kipia and Isiolo. Those are governors.
Right.
Women rep for Meru is independent.
Okay. So actually, it's so what you're saying, and by the way, this is important, for our viewers to hear. The path for independent party option is actually a very genuine path for getting into the political competition.
Yeah, because you see, you don't have any hurdle.
Right.
You have only one hurdle at the end from the people. The Mwananchi decides yes or no. So you start knowing where you are headed to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
great.
without...
No problem. So you're going to be on the ballot box next year?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Amazing.
I'm not only being on the ballot, I'm expecting to win.
All right. Yes. Okay. And you're going to be competing against Western Kenya's greatest son and political, heavyweight, no other than. Okay, we all know the person. All right. How do you plan to run your campaign? I mean, you got to run around the country. You probably need to do political rallies and stuff like that so that you can sell your policy and stuff like that. So do you have that in place?
Oh, very good question. Now, let me put it this way before I answer that question. The issue of presidency has been mystified.
Right.
Because it wants to remain within the exclusive club.
Right.
So that not anybody can think that's something within the reach. That's why they have mystified it.
Right.
And then they'll tell you, like, now you need this amount of money. You see, first they said you just need to have a degree. Then they have found there are so many people with the degrees.
Right.
Then said, okay, now you need 4 billion.
Right.
So because not everybody has 4 billion, unless from those families who have worked in government or who have done deals with the government.
Right.
So they want the president to remain within a certain class of people.
Right.
Otherwise, if I am to go to Kwale, for example, I have a rally tomorrow,
right,
I will jump into a bus at night. In the morning, I'm in Kwale.
Right.
The other guy will jump in the chopper at 2, and then 1 hour is there. So at the end of the day, I'm already in Kwale.
Right.
The next day, if I am to have a rally in Busia, after the rally in Kwale, I'll jump in the bus. Within 12 hours, I'm in Busia.
Right.
So the issue of having the ability, it's been a lie, and you have swallowed this lie. I have the ability.
Okay.
Before I decided to contest for the president, I went around the country, incognito.
Yes.
And so for myself, the needs, the only place I did not go was Masabit. I did not reach, I reached the store and came back.
Right.
But I've went all over.
All
and
right.
I went by road.
Right.
So the issue of Kenya is very small.
Right.
Very small.
Right.
I have the capacity. I'll go.
Okay, so nobody should lie to us that, you know, if you don't have the 4 billion, they said 4 billion.
The question comes,
yeah,
Gigi,
yes,
if the salary of the president within 5 years does not exceed 125 million,
yes,
and if you are going to use $1 billion plus, how are you going to recoup that investment?
Okay,
that's a question that we need to ask ourselves.
So you've opened up I would let me call it a can of worms, because you know, cost benefits, you know, does cost benefit equations really work in politics? I think given an MCA, most MCAs will spend way more than they will ever earn from those salaries to win that position. I mean, really. So politics in this country is very expensive.
It's expensive.
So anybody in their right mind, unless they are planning to steal from the public, there is no way they can get their money back.
Yeah, politics is a form of governance and governing the issues of men. So if you want to govern and you're spending this much in order for you to govern, then there's a mischief.
Okay.
They say politics is about interest, but which interest? It is personal, selfish interest.
Okay.
So it depends on which interest is pushing somebody into politics.
All right. Of course, now you've said politics is about personal interest, and of course, I will obviously turn it over to you. Do you have personal interest yourself? Isn't it a nice thing if you can become president and also earn the 125 million a year? You know, that's decent money.
Yeah, I say politics about interest, but there are some national politics, nationalistic interest, tribal interest, family interest, and personal interest. So I'm talking about interests.
Okay. So basically, what you are saying is, yes, it's about interest.
Interests.
At various levels.
Yes, it's all about interests.
Okay. And I think, well, I guess there has to be some underlying motivational system.
Yes.
If you want to become the president, there must be a drive.
That's right.
There must be a reason why.
Yeah.
So I guess there is a reason why. What is the underlying reason why Stephen Owoko wants to become the president of this republic?
One of the reasons is I want to fix this country.
Okay.
But fix it because, you know, this is a country that prays even our national anthem, E Mungu nguvu zetu.
Yes.
Tulete baraka kwetu.
Yes.
Unaona, haki iwe ngao.
Yes.
Leta baraka kwa mpaka yetu. In our constitution, we acknowledge the supremacy of the God of all creation. I happen to have been in Africa and traveled Africa in the 80s and the 90s.
Yes.
And I've seen the suffering of the African people.
Right.
Mandela was my president. I saw when he was given a country, and I saw the way he left it. I was in Zimbabwe when they got independence, and by the time Zimbabwe was when he was leaving, it was something else.
Yes.
African people, especially Africa and Kenya, should not live in abject poverty in a country that is so filthy rich. In every country, God has hidden the resources in those countries for the people to live in plenty. But what is happening that in this country, 0.8% controls 99% of the Kenyan wealth. That is not acceptable.
And I have a very big question on that. Because everywhere you check, so that is the reality here, okay? But it's also the reality in the US, it's the reality in Europe, in other countries in Europe.
The capitalist countries.
Yes. So is it a unique problem in Africa, or if it is the same thing? You see, if something is the same across every nation, then that thing must be the very nature of the way things are than the exception.
Yeah, because, as I said,
so you want to fix that?
Are not critical thinkers.
Africans.
We are copycats. And we cut and paste without going into the history.
Okay.
You see, when you go to Europe like UK, the country was already looted by the queens, and it belongs to her. And the others are subjects. You go to America, when they invaded this country, they took over everything. So it's man for himself, but God for all of us. These people came from different nations, but in Africa it's different. We are part of a family. When you talk of a Luo, these were one family for your grandfather. You talk of the Kikuyu, the house of Mumbi. We are brothers.
Yes.
And like those guys, we are brothers.
Okay.
And what the Bible says, if you have two courts, what do? When God was making the children leave Israel, he made sure that they left with wealth. By the time they were entering the land of Canaan, what happened? He made sure they entered when it was harvest time. They lived in houses they never built, and ate the food they never. Look at what's happening in the Arab world, in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and so on. They share the resources, and they're living well. This is what should happen here.
Okay, absolutely. Sharing of resources. That's one of the biggest problems we have all over the world. The Americans are quarreling about sharing resources. They are not talking about.
And there's likely to be civil war in the near future.
Tax the rich. No. We have had. In fact, war has been the standard. Has been the norm. Peace is the exception. So the question is, every African country look. War has been the norm. Peace is the exception. So if we have had a season of peace in this country, I think then...
I'm talking America.
Yes.
I'm talking about America.
No. America have had 200 years of democratic rule, so I guess they are doing very well. And there must be a reason why they have succeeded and they are so rich. There must be a reason. And I don't... There must be something they are doing right. And that's why they are as successful as they are. And if we can get hold of that, perhaps it can change our nation.
You see,
because we got to wrap this up. And you've shared a lot of things, very, very nice policies and stuff like that. What is your message to Kenyans?
I've noticed, I wish I could declare how I'm going to create 8 million jobs, so it's just not a sound bite.
It's complicated. We've discussed quite a little bit. You talked about the civil service.
But that's not part of the 8 million, no.
Okay.
It's not the part of the 8 million.
All right. So, we've run out of time.
Okay, fine.
You have other forums. Maybe we'll get some other opportunity for you to come and expound on that. But for now, I'd like you to look at that camera and give a very quick 1 minute, message to Kenyans. 30 seconds, that camera.
In the Bible, when Jesus was to be sentenced, there were Barnabas and there was Jesus. And Pilate asked, whom do you want? Barnabas had been arrested because of treason, rape, and murder. And Christ was being accused for being the healer and doing good. But the people of Jerusalem shouted that they wanted Barabbas. Now, the choices has consequences. In this election, I hope you know how your children, your grandchildren, and even you have been suffering in this country because of bad political mismanagement and management. If you want the status quo to remain, choose those people who are selling you air. But if you want a change and a better future, there are alternatives, and the alternative is Stephen Owoko. Thank you.
Most welcome. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I love this man. He's absolutely very articulate. And thank you so much, Stephen, for coming on the show.
Thank you
on
for
this
having
morning,
me.
Monday Morning Digest. It was nice to hear from you and to hear, your story and your aspirations and your vision for this nation. Thank you. That's all we had for you this morning on the Monday Morning Digest. I've been your host, Godfrey Gishoke. God bless you. Have a great day, and we'll see you another day, same time, same place, same channel. God bless you, and have a good day. Bye.